Morning guys, Clint Jivoin here. I'm just going to do a little scout for you today. I'd like to source some water for you, some that is already good to drink, potable, and some that you'll have to boil down. And all I'm doing to collect this grass is, there's an area here where you can see the deer have been bedding down. And a lot of this grass is dead already and it's kind of matted up. So all I'm doing is taking my hand and I'm raking up through that grass. What that's going to do is that's going to allow me to just pull out the dry, dead stuff. Now what I like to do is I like to take those pieces of grass and just bend those in half and kind of get like a, you know, whatever you call it, like that. Then I'll take just the rest of it, and I won't process it too much yet, so we're not ready for it yet. But I'll put that right in the middle. When I close that up, that gives me a tender bundle, but it also gives me a handle. And I can hold that way back there, and I can really just let that catch before I have to throw it into the fire. So we're going to go ahead and take this, if I can fit it, and we're going to stuff that in our haversack for later. I decided to stop here by this pine tree. Now pine needles are super high in vitamin C. They're abundant, and when steeped like a tea in just a cup of water by the fire or at home, it's actually pretty good. It doesn't taste too bad. So we're going to take some of these and we're going to throw them in our haversack here. One of the easiest ways, while it won't be significant, but I do this a lot when I'm out hunting around and I don't want to carry a water bottle with me and I know I'm only going to be gone for a couple hours and I know where I'm at. I know how to get out in a hurry if I do get dehydrated. This little maple leaf here, it's got a little bit of water in it, okay? Now in this particular area alone, I see 3 or 4 of those that are like that. Now while it's not going to be a whole lot of water, knowing that it rained last night and is still drizzling, and mind you, I'm looking for any signs of animal movement through here because I don't want to be playing Russian roulette with doe pee, okay? So it smells like water. Okay. But inside this stump is just like a pool of water. You can see that. Alright. Now, I'm just going to grab this little stick. I'm going to see how far down that goes. Alright, so that's how deep it is. So as you can see, that's quite a bit of water. Now, there's a problem with this. This happens to be by one of my primitive camps that I hang out at a lot. And I know for a fact that there's water in this year-round, okay? So the fact that it rained last night has nothing to do with there being water in here. Now, common sense will tell me that that's probably a breeding ground for all kinds of nasty stuff. Not to mention you've got leaves just falling in there, and the tannins are probably just ridiculous in that. So, would I drink this without purifying it? No. I would really try to avoid this, but you can find collections of water that might not be as dirty, and you know, they might be more fresh, less stagnant, I guess is what I'm getting at. So to get this out, you could either have some kind of really small container to dip it out with. You could fashion some kind of a reed grass straw or some kind of straw to drink it straight out, which I would not recommend. What I would do, and I'll do a little demo even though it's cold and I really don't want to get this wet. Take any kind of thing like that, a t-shirt, worst case scenario a sock. I would dip that down in there, okay? I just put it in the water, get it over my container, and just wring it out. Alright, so while we're out here on our scout, anytime we pass up a resource that we think might or we know is going to help us later, we ought to go ahead and grab that, as long as we're not packing too much stuff. So this is just a cedar tree that's down. It's got these nice and dry little twigs. Alright guys, so this here is a sassafras tree. Now, the easy way to tell it's a sassafras tree, which this time of year can be a little rough, is it has 3 different types of leaves. You know, they're goofy. One looks like a little oven mitt, you know. But there's a couple on there, okay? Is that the Mac Daddy of them all or what? Look at that. Alright guys, so I'm in this little transition area here on this tractor path. And wouldn't you know it, growing right out of the middle here is some wide leaf plantain. Now these little seeds are great. You can pick them off in your hand, or you can just go like this. Technical difficulties. Alright. So anyway, you can eat the seeds, and the leaves themselves are also edible. And you notice they've got this real fibrous, stringy inside. Well, this plant's nicknamed the Band-Aid plant. And now if you have a small cut or a bee sting or anything like that, you can chew it up, get those juices kind of working, and it's pretty bitter this time of year. And you put that on the cut, kind of like a spit poultice, right? And that's got anti-inflammatory property, which comes in handy. But the leaves are also edible. I like to cook them down just because they are so fibrous. So alright, that's plantain, guys. Alright guys, we finally found some drinking water. Now, this creek in the springtime flows right through here. And we've had a terrible drought this year. The worst I can remember, and they're saying the worst in 100 years. So, we're going to have to really purify this water, because I'm not going to be the only thing wanting to drink out of it, okay? So, I always carry a GSI cup with me, and they work great. I'm going to go ahead and rinse that out. And, you know, obviously my first pick wouldn't have been a creek. Not because of anything natural, just because of the chemicals coming down from fields and everything else. But we've got our water. Now this water is by no means drinkable at this point. Now that we've got our water, we go ahead and take off our haversack here. And this is where all that preparation that we did earlier in the day is really going to save us a lot of time and energy. So, we've got our cedar sticks from that little cedar tree, right? Now we don't want to set this stuff directly on the ground. So let's try to keep it dry as best we can, or else that would just defeat the purpose. So I'm going to lay it on my smog over here, just to keep it up off the ground. Some more sticks. Now, we've got our pine needles. Those will come in handy. And with those pine needles, we've got our big old sassafras root. But the most important thing is this tinder bundle that we prepped before we even took off in the first place. This is going to save us a lot of time. So let me get this fire going, guys, and I'll get back with you. I am under a walnut tree, and there's tons of black walnuts laying everywhere, so I get a snack with my tea today, it looks like. So I'm just taking a piece of char cloth. I'm going to put it in that tinder bundle. Get out the old ferro rod here. Alright. Oh yeah, she's going. You can use char cloth in a lot of different situations, guys. You know, a lot of different ways to start fire with char cloth as far as your ignition source goes. Alright, let's get some fire. You want to have your sticks ready to go, because we're not going to have time to hike back out of the woods. We got to get this water purified. Now these sticks are going to go quick, so we're going to have some other stuff ready. I'm going to let that fire climb. Go ahead and set it down. Get those sticks on there. Now I don't consider it sustainable until you're comfortable you can walk away from it for 15 minutes and you're still going to have a flame. Or at least a solid bed of coals. So this is by no means a sustainable fire yet. But there's no reason why we can't go ahead and just set our cup of tea here by the side of the fire. And that water's cold. Just kind of warm that up while we're working on our fire. Get as much out of it as we can. Let's talk about these black walnuts, okay? These come from the black walnut tree. Now, this time of year, they're going to be on the ground. You break this outside skin off, okay? You don't eat that. But these hulls are super high in iodine, and they also make a great dye, okay? So this haversack, for example, which was white, a white canvas, was dyed with walnut hulls, and I left it in a coffee can over the fire for about 20 minutes. So the longer you leave it in, the darker the hulls, the darker your fabric's going to get. So we're going to let the water continue to boil, and we're going to go ahead and add in our pine needles. Now you don't want to boil the pine needles in there too long, just for the fact that you're going to deplete the nutrients in it if you boil it too long. So I like to just kind of let it steep. But like I said, we're going to let this water boil. You know, it's controversial whether you can just bring it to a boil or let it boil. So for me, I like to let it boil just for the sane feeling of knowing you're not going to get sick, okay? Oh yeah, that's sassafras, all right. So with the sassafras, you know, a little bit of dirt ain't going to help you or hurt you. I just peel it kind of like a carrot. It has a very distinct flavor. We've had our pine needle and sassafras infusion here at a rolling boil for about 5 minutes. So we're going to take this off and let it cool down. So my tea's cooled down. Just relaxing back here in the woods. Nice gloomy day. I like it. Alright, so that's what the pine needle tea is going to look like when it's finished. It gets kind of a tinted color to it. Pine needles kind of get like a cooked asparagus color. You got the sassafras in there that gives it kind of a reddish, it seems like. So I'm just letting that steep, guys, but it's good to drink. Let's give her a try. It's going to be hot, though. I might burn myself. Yeah, it's good. It's good, you know, provided I don't get some disease from drinking up Roundup water out of the creek here. But not bad. Super high in vitamin C, guys. Good stuff. Keep you warm on a cold day like today.